Hey, welcome to brisket cutting part 2. We're going to go over a little bit more of the fat trimming and then some of our chopping up and just how to work on that speed as we're going through our line. So we've got our scale here. You can go ahead and see we've got a piece of parchment paper. They'll be the different size than this, but all you do to get the scale ready is you'll click the on button and give it a couple seconds to tear out, and it'll say 0, 0, 0. And you can tell that it's teared out. When I put pressure on it, it'll add weight, but then it'll go back to 0 once I let go. So that means that it's weighed out the little piece of parchment and everything like that. So I'll go ahead and have this right here for you. So as we're cutting the meat for the plates, you see the meat that Chef Adam already cut here in the last video. We can take that meat. If it's super long, we can just slice that in half really quickly so it's not covering the whole bottom of the plate, and so it looks a little more voluminous. It has a little more volume to it. And then you can take those slices, you can put them on your scale, and you're gonna go ahead and weigh out 4 ounces of that meat. So for the plates, it'll be 4 ounces plus or minus 0.15, so it can be 4.15 or 3.85, anywhere in that range. But we just want to get it as close to that as possible. So as you cut the meat, you'll get a lot faster at it. If I do too much, the easiest way, you can pull off a little bit of, like, just kind of pinch that off with your thumb and take that away, or you can take some of the smaller bits and you can just look at it and pull it off until you're right there about at that 4 ounce weight. So that's for our plates. For our sliders, we want to go ahead and chop up the meat a little bit, get it prepared for them. So this is my carving knife, so I'm going to set that aside. So I've got my chef knife here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chop that meat up a little bit, and you can go pretty fast on it and just kind of chop it up into little bits. What I like to do is just do a little mix with my hand like that, mix it around with the fat, make sure that it's mixed up really well and really good. You don't want it to be too fatty, so make sure to cut off any of those thick fat parts, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then you'll take that, and for our sliders, we want those to be 2 ounces. So that was just about perfect, 2 ounces, if I can read it right. So you want it to be about 2 ounces for those sliders. Same with the brisket and the pork. And that will help make sure that we're being consistent. It's a good product, and we're just really taking care of the guests. For the sandwiches, it's the same thing, but we'll typically be using a larger portion of the meat for the sandwiches. So what we'll do is we'll take our meat and we'll slice it up or cut it up really nicely. You can do bigger chunks, like thicker chunks than when we're doing the sandwiches that are very thin. And you'll make sure that there's not tons of fat on those pieces. And then we'll go ahead and really quickly take that meat and you'll stack it together, and you'll go ahead and chop it up really quickly and just really get it ready. You want to make sure that it's chopped, and so it's fine like that, but you don't want it too chopped up. You want it to kind of be shredded fine, but still be a really good product. And then again, I still like to mix it up, stir it up a little bit. Make sure again there's not too much fat. We try to trim that in the trimming phase, and then you're good with your product. Going to meat trimming again. If you look at this piece, this is the fat side, because the fat side is always up. Right here, I can feel that with my hand. If you look at it, it's bouncing back a lot as I'm pushing on it. There's a lot of fat in there. You can even see right here on the bottom, there's that piece right there is very thick. So what I can do is I can go ahead and take my trimming knife, and I can go ahead and I can trim back on the top of that and take that bark off. So we always want to keep our bark. That's some of the best part of the meat, some of the tastiest stuff. And I can go ahead and I can set that aside. And then I see right here, okay, here's a lot of fat. So I can either take my knife and I can slice down on that and sort of take off that fat, or I can sort of take my hand and peel it back a little bit. It's up to you kind of how you do it. Sometimes it's easier with the hand, sometimes it's easier if it's really thick, and take off some of that fat and get rid of it so that we're not serving a super fatty product to our customers. And as we've taken that back, we can take our bark and we can throw that back on to keep the moisture in, and then we've got a much better product to serve. And we can take that thick bit of fat, make sure there's no bark in there, and I can go ahead and I can toss that out, and my product is a lot better for our guests, and we shouldn't have any complaints on that, because that is a delicious piece of brisket. So thank you.